Hello team, welcome to my session on Coffee with Prabh, and today we're going to cover about the case study of Colonial pipeline hack. And I'm trying my best to cover the Colonial pipeline hack, their case study with the mapping of CISSP and CISM concepts. We're going to touch upon the incident response process, BCP process, and phishing parameters, and how it works in real time. And with this kind of a reference, my objective is to give a subscriber a new learning experience about the topic. I haven't seen any kind of a video where the case studies has been mapped with the topic, so I'm just doing one experiment. I'm sure you will find this video useful. My name is Prabh Nair, and for more information you can refer my LinkedIn profile. Thank you. So Colonial Pipeline is one of the largest pipeline operator in the United States. And Colonial Pipeline suffered a ransomware attack that forced the US energy company to shut down its entire fuel distribution pipeline on May 7th. May 6th, malicious actors launch an attack, stealing the data and locking the computer and requesting a ransom. This is what has happened. Now, who done this? It is done by the dark side, which is set up a ransomware as a service for the business model to reportedly behind the cyber attack. The dark side actors or dark side group refer to the cyber criminals deploying the ransomware and targeting the organization through a phishing attack or exploiting the remotely accessible account systems and the virtual desktop infrastructure. VDI is basically demand in after the COVID when people are working from home. So we believe, as per the news, that they might exploit the VDIs, the laptop, the systems by which they're able to perform the further attack. So what has happened actually? So now for a high level, the dark side attackers leverage an initial compromise stage where they gain access to the device, spoof a legitimate user, and they install the further malicious code on the compromised endpoint. And then they escalate the privileges to gain access to the sensitive information. And finally, they encrypt the business critical process and request a ransom to show as a proof of file over the exfiltrated data. And they ready to decrypt everything only after the target pay them. So moral of the story here is they basically ask for ransom for the keys. So they will provide if they provide the ransom, they will basically provide the key back. But in this entire attack, what happened was the availability, because availability was the primary thing was got impacted. So any question in the exam talking about the ICS, the primary objective in the ICS attack is to make the ICS unavailable from the authorized user. You have seen that you have seen the several movies, and in the past, whatever the power plants, whatever the plants got hacked, got attacked, that become unavailable from the authorized user itself. In this case also, here the initiatives has been done from the security team of the company. They have shut down the systems, they shut down the further systems to make sure that attack should not replicate to further the system, and that has a direct impact on the city where the fuel got impacted, people were unable to get the fuel, the supply was stopped. So ultimately it impact the availability of the entire operation. So let me discuss more in detail about this particular issue. So what has happened? So dark side attackers or actors have previously been observed gaining initial access through a phishing. That is the most important thing. Let me highlight that: phishing, and exploiting the remotely accessible account. So their major attack vectors are exploiting the public facing applications, external remote services, and remote desktop protocol. Let me explain you here. Suppose this is your email services, or it can be your Office 365. It is hosted on the cloud. And this is your IT, and this is your OT. So if you go by the traditional systems, it is always isolated. So there is a possibility that dark side hackers, they have targeted some phishing emails. So one of the employee has basically opened the email, that is possible, and from there they gain access to the system, and from there they access the IT, and then there is a possibility to target the OT. But the thing is that the devices like PLCs and all that which is running on the OTs are not running a Windows or Linux platform. They are running on a different parameters. So that is why these issues are coming, that they might be running some outdated firmwares which is failed to get an update from the vendor. So major attack vectors which has happened in this kind of a scenarios was, they exploit the public facing application, or second is phishing attack, where, I have deliberate show you the example how one hacker has basically discovered someone's employee email ID of the Colonial pipeline, and they have sent an email to them. They have click, and might be he click on the link and he download that particular application on his system, and from there he will do the further attack. So here one thing is missing is, if it's not part of the isolated network, then it's a concern. If they don't have a DLP, that is a concern. Might be he has not provided the security awareness training, and this is what we have learned in CISSP. Even you have a hi-fi security solution in the system, if you don't train him how to handle the clicks and links, your organization is always victim of cyber attacks. So countermeasure here is, no matter how effective security solution you have installed even in the endpoint, please provide the security awareness training to your employees, and that is the best answer in CISSP. So back to the topic here. So exploit public facing applications, external remote services, remote desktop protocols are be the major attack vectors for this kind of an attack. And one of the news which I was reviewing, there is a Mr. James Chappell, who also a co-founder of Digital Shadow, believe the same, the dark side could have bought the account login detail for remote desktop software such as TeamViewer. We have TeamViewer or Microsoft Remote Desktop. He say it is possible for anyone to look up at the login portal for the computer connected to the internet on the search engine like Shodan we have. So we have a Shodan, and then have to go a hacker just keep trying the username and password until they get some to the work. And might be in this case also they did the same thing. Either they have sent the phishing email, or through the Shodan they have discovered some public facing applications, and through that they might gain access to their IT and OT platform. Another important concern is, if the Shodan platform or Shodan the company Colonial pipeline infrastructure, if they are running on the OT platform, and those OT platforms are outdated, because I have seen some of the videos where they have did the annual review. If they even not did the annual review, the last time they did in 2007, and before that they are running on the old systems and all that. So there is a probability that they're running some older system which is vulnerable for the attacks. The patches are not available to deploy. No regular security assessment has been done. So these are the clear concern which hackers or dark side attackers has used and tried to exploit. So what is basically a CISSP aspect? Now, if you are a CISSP, what you're going to do? How to handle such kind of a situation? What will be your perspective to make sure you will not face this kind of an issue? So first, most important thing, even this attack happen, after that what is the next thing is you have to do is discover your attack surface. What are the attack surface? The area of entry and exit point, the area of exposures. Make sure you should have a proper inventory of all the IT or OT systems list. That is the most important thing. Even in the CISSP, we say, in order to drive the risk assessment, in order to drive the patch management, in order to drive the incident management, anything, we need a updated inventory list. So without inventory list, we cannot drive any kind of a security. So visibility is a very important for a security. So first thing, post impact as a CISSP, discover the attack surface and automate the comprehensive asset inventory list. Second important thing is that conduct regular penetration testing and other security assessment. So by this way, you can address several things. Example, you will able to discover the systems which is outdated. You can able to discover the new vulnerabilities. Even you can discover the 0 day. You can able to analyze whether any system is going against the compliance. So by this way, you can able to prevent the Colonial kind of an attacks in future. Introduce the EOL policy. Again, in the new version of CISSP, they have focus on EOL policy, and now I understood why they have focus on the EOL policy, which is called end of life cycle. So there is a proper transition we have for the end of life cycle, where if the vendor has notified that they have discontinued the support, so according to that particular process only, we need to do the transitions. We need to move to the new version. So what is the process we have? So everything was amended in the EOL policy, and according to the policy only, we drive the patch solution and we replace the product. So make sure you should have a EOL policy, and according to that only we do the transition. Regularly conduct the security awareness training. As part of our 2021, they've introduced the breach attack simulation, They introduced the gamification of the security awareness training for the employees. No matter you have a hi-fi security solutions or end-to-end core security solution for your employees, if they click on any link, you itself become the biggest target for any kind of a things. So make sure you conduct a regular security awareness training for your employees, and that will be your last line of defense. Okay, you deploy this everything. Now to handle the phishing campaigns, you handle all kind of a social engineering attacks. That the most effective way to handle the social engineering is security awareness training. Even in the CISSP, if you get a both option, technical control or administrative control, remember answer is administrative control. And answer here why administrative control is because of security awareness training. So regularly conduct the security awareness training. In this attack also, they have seen that okay, if the person has clicked on some links, it means he's not aware about those links. He's not aware about that behavior. He was not aware about that URL. And if they conducted the regular security awareness training, they able to mitigate or they able to prevent such kind of an attack. So even you implement the hi-fi solution, make sure you should have a proper security awareness training. Implement the principle of least privilege. Now just believe that okay, one of the employee was working from home in the Colonial pipeline, and might be hacker was able to hack that system, and from there they did the lateral movement into other systems. So make sure that employee should give the principle of least privilege, and this is what we have learned in CISSP. Give the access as per the job requirement, not high, not less. Whatever the job description demand, based on that give access. So if hacker hack the employee account, by that he has a limited impact on the system. And make sure you should follow the zero trust architecture. So every time whenever he basically access, every time he need to go through IEEE process. So implement the least privilege with the zero trust architecture, you can able to limit such kind of an attack. Then require the multi-factor authentication. For a second, agree that okay, they able to compromise the system, but for the further they need a OTP, they need a biometric. So by that you can still able to limit the attack, and that belong to a family of defense in depth. So these kind of an aspect you can introduce to mitigate such kind of issues. Next, enable the strong spam filters. Make sure you should implement the strong spam filters on your enterprise. So make sure your employees should not receive any kind of a phishing email. That can be done. Limit access to resources over the network, especially by restricting the RDP. Make sure RDP access should be disabled from outside, and that was be one of the reason of this current attack. Build zero trust architecture. Now this is part of the new 2021 syllabus of CISSP also. And now what happened is, even you are an employee, even you have a 10-year working with the company or 20-year working with the company, still for every access we need to validate your informations. Even you carrying your own laptop or you carrying your personal laptop, still it need to go through IEEE for every access. So if you believe that okay, OT network is a very critical network, implement zero trust architecture. So that can be done. And organize all the OT assets okay in a logical zones and monitor traffic between the zone. So organize the OT asset in the logical zone by taking into the account criticality is very important, because we also need to understand the consequences and operational parameters. So defining the acceptable communications between the zones, deploy the security control to filter the network traffic, monitor all the communication on a regular basis can able to prevent such kind of attacks. Because in that attack also in a Colonial, there is a probability one of the employee system got hacked, and from there they did the lateral movement and moved to the other networks. It was not a plant got hacked, it was a system got hacked, and they just want that attack should not be moved further to other system. They just halt the system. Not necessarily the OT was impacted, but just from the point of view that OT can be easy attack vector, make sure you should create a proper zone for that. Implement the data backups on a regular basis and take the backups, and make sure keep the backup in the external drive. It is also we cover in CISSP. We always say okay, backup should be stored in an external drive. So in the case of ransomware, this is the best solution we have. We cannot prevent ransom, but we can able to reduce the impact by taking a regular backup. So make sure you should have at least RPO for the ransomware. So if you are CISSP, what you going to drive here? Now here what I did, I map the scenario with the incident management. So what is happened in the Colonial pipeline when on May 6th, this incident happened. On the May 7th, they have confirmed and detect that incident actually. On May 7th, they confirm and they detect that incident, or you can say detect and confirm the incident, and they respond to that particular incident, which is called as a response phase, and they inform their federal agencies and all that as per the regulatory requirement. Now, if you ask me as a CISSP, I will initiate the BCP here, okay, because I want to remove that particular system which was basically hacked. I know that, okay, I confirm that there is a system which is hacked remotely, or it is a ransomware attack, whatever happened. So I want to move, I need to isolate the system. But if I directly isolate a system, I need some backup system there. Otherwise, it has a entire halt. And in this case study in this particular case study, what we have learned that, okay, they don't have any BCP. When they basically halt the entire system, they shut down the system, I believe on May 7th. Okay. On May 7th itself, they have halt all the systems. So if you are as a CISSP, before you are shut downing any system, make sure you should have a BCP. So you can have an alternate system in ready and replace the system with that system. So here I initiate the BCP. I isolate the system. That is a mitigation phase, which is called as a containment to limit the attack. I'm not doing any investigation there. I just isolate the system immediately. After detecting a response, I just isolate the system. And then isolate system, I restore the drivers as per the RTO and RPO. And then I make the system back to the production as per the timestamp. We're going to discuss in next slide what was the timestamp. Then might be, the company will do the remediation. So in this case, I think FireEye is the one who basically doing an investigation to understand how this attack happened, to make sure this kind of incident should not be happen again. So this was the case study which has been followed. Okay, this is what I understood till this part. I don't know whether it is confirmed, but as a CISSP, I will follow this particular case study for this kind of an attacks. So what they followed, actually, you can see on May 7th, the Colonial pipeline, they learned that it was a victim of the cybersecurity attack. And since they determined the incident involved the ransomware, they quickly, after learning from the attack, and they proactively took certain system offline to contain the incident. So this was the hype has been created that, okay, that hack has disrupted the system, which is not true. They just want that further data should not be encrypted because already they have compromised the 100 GB of data. So on May 7th, they have basically shut down the system. So if you see the case study here, on May 7th, they have shut down the system. Till May 9, the system was shut down. So it means till this part, there was a complete disruption. Okay. So on May 10th, they just start bringing some pipeline back. So it means it was not a complete recovery, but at least they have a 60 to 40% or 40 to 80, 60% they have a recovery. So it is called as a SDO, service delivery objective. And by May 13th, they able to restore the system. Okay, by May 13, they able to restore all the pipelines, and the things was basically back to the pavilion. Now, if you notice, from May 7 till May 10, you have seen a lot of news in a TV, right? People are struggling for the fuel and all that. So it means there was a complete chaos has been between the 7 to 9 or 7 to 10. But on 10th, they have started the pipeline back. On May 10th, they also bring the other 4 lines. Parallelly, they have a DR plan. They basically drive the trucks and all that to reach the nearest stations to deliver the things. And parallelly, they building the pipeline. So here they already doing a DR there. Okay, and parallelly they building the pipeline. And on May 13th and 14th, I believe, they able to restore all the pipeline. So I don't know about what is the MTD they have followed there. Might be they have their MTD and everything. But what I heard the news, by 15, everything was operational and the things are back to the pavilion within a timeline. So this is what a case study which is mapped with the BCP and contingency. I'm sure you find this case study useful. If you're looking for this kind of a case study in future, do share your comments and I will come with another case study with mapping of other CISSP topic. and CISM topic. Thank you for watching this video and do subscribe my YouTube channel.